Hey, I'm Matthew Defrain. I'm the manager of sales here at Law Ruler, legal intake CRM software.
Matthew, thanks for joining us today. I'm excited to dig into the soft phone dialer. Um, I think a lot of attorneys have probably heard the word soft phone. Some of them certainly have a good idea of what it is, but this is a soft phone that is actually integrated into the Law Ruler system, and so I'm excited about seeing what this does. Thanks for showing me around.
Yeah, absolutely, Zach. I'm happy to show you around. It's definitely an exciting and unique feature to Law Ruler. So let's go ahead. We'll dive right in. So, what a lot of people like about the cell phone dialer is it's there just to make life easier. A lot of times when lawyers are using technology, they tend to buy a lot of different things, throw it all together, and hope that hey, it works.
Oh yeah.
Um, with the cell phone dialer, it's a little bit different because you want to create such a simple and seamless process in your intake that no matter what the situation is, your client has the easiest time signing up.
Mm,
And part of that uniform process where they receive that world class customer services, making sure that they get calls when you need them to get calls throughout the process.
hmm
A lot of attorneys, they don't uniform that process, and things wind up falling through the cracks on the phone side because you have so many softwares that can send emails, they can send text messages, you can
hmm
create tasks to send manual emails and text messages. But a lot of people are leaving the calls out of it, or they're just leaving it as a manual process. And they're losing out on a lot of opportunity there.
And to kind of clarify, by soft phone we mean a software phone, a phone that's kind of built into the computer, much like email or text messaging would be. So people aren't having to go to a separate sort of thing, i.e., the phone, to take care of this process. What you're saying is that this can be systematized and brought into the workflow easily.
That's correct. So this makes it to where it's super easy, super integrated. Everything's tracked inside the reporting of the CRM. Everything has a good history on the activity log for each client, so you can really have an in-depth view and make the calling part of your process all simple and seamless. That's
Okay.
all Law Ruler's goal. So I mean, some of the benefits you have right here on the screen in front of you when you automate those scheduled calls is you make sure your leads are called when you want them to be.
hmm
It's extremely important because a lot of times attorneys are wondering, hey, why haven't I converted that much this month? Why haven't I reached my numbers? A lot of times people are working from home and they're not making their calls. And there's no way attorneys have of knowing that
hmm Yeah,
because there's
certainly if you've got just a regular office phone system, even if it's a VoIP, but it's a regular office phone system on your assistant or your calling associate's desk, they're at home, you don't know if you're not tracking this. You don't know if when how they've made any of those phone calls, and so we can't figure out why things aren't going great.
That's exactly it. It's not giving VoIPs don't give you the power of a call center. This gives you more of the
hmm
power of a call center to manage the workflows more efficiently. And with those more efficient workflows and where people getting their calls, you're increasing your net promoter score and you're increasing your conversion rates. Good call structure is extremely important as part of the follow-up process.
So how does this type of thing increase the net promoter score? How is having a good call structure going to make that better for me as a lawyer?
So it's actually a really good question. So a lot of times in the net promoter scores, they don't feel like the attorneys or the staff reach out as much. And that actually
Mm,
hurts the scores across the industry, across every case type I've seen.
okay.
A lot of people actually have what I call a heart problem. They always think that, oh, the more I call them, the more I'm going to annoy them, the lower my net promoter score is going to be.
hmm
And what that does is influences them and tells them, oh, I don't want to call them. I don't want to do this. And because they have to think about it, there's a pause in between the brain saying, I need to call this person and should I call this person? They have the ability to stop. But the system takes it out of play and makes sure that they get those calls. And like I said, people are expecting you to call. In this
hmm
situation for attorneys in this specific field, it's not like we're working in a heavily telemarketed field. They're
Right.
expecting you to call. They want to get that level of personalization. And by taking the phone calls out of it or by not calling those clients just because you think they don't want to hear from you, it lowers the net promoter score dramatically. Just a few touches per month, just a few extra phone calls during the lead process, the onboarding process, has been proven to increase those conversion rates and really just make a happier client overall.
Okay. Okay.
Because the number one thing that I hear from people putting a negative review, even when you're reading Google reviews for lawyers, He didn't contact me enough.
Right. That's
I
exactly
didn't
right.
hear from him for months.
Mm-hmm.
And this just makes sure that, and it's not even the attorney's fault. Attorneys are really busy. Paralegals are really busy. The whole staff has a lot of work on their plate, and they just forget to call. You
Mm-hmm.
need something that's going to nudge you. You need something that's going to put that call in front of you, where you just log in for an hour or two a day, make your scheduled calls until that count hits zero, and then you're done. You know that everybody's been called that had to have been called.
Okay. Easy enough. Yeah.
Easy enough, and that's also brings me to the next feature for this. Is one of the benefits is you can have status based campaigns. So no matter how many times you want to contact them based on what part of the process they're in, you're able to set that up, and you're able to prioritize those calls based on part of the process they're in. You
Mm-hmm.
can call them when they're new leads. That's, number one, just to convert them, but you can also set the calls up to follow up with them after they're a case. We're not just an intake system, we're a CRM system. We're
Mm-hmm.
here to build better client relationships. So part of that is, let's say, the client treating phase. Yeah, everybody wants to talk to the client while they're treating, because one of the biggest things that hurt PI attorneys across the board, clients treating and they stop going and they don't tell you.
Mm-hmm.
You schedule a call once or twice a month just to talk to them, check in on them. They appreciate it. Net promoter score goes up, Google review, positive reviews go up, and they're happy. And
Mm-hmm.
if they stop going to treatment, now they told you, and you can say, hey, you really do need to go back to treatment. You're hurting your case.
Right. Right. Okay.
Allows you to help out. And the other thing too is it just gives you such a good look into your metrics.
Mm.
There's reports you can run with the soft phone dialer, because it's all integrated into the system. You can see and you can track, how many calls are people making. If
Right.
you're working from home, what are your average talk times? How much time have you spent offline? Did you decline calls? Did you miss calls when you were supposed to be working? You need to know that information so you can track the efficiency of your employees.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of a lot of those things that we were just saying on the last slide is about tracking things or creating, like you say, systems, because then we're adjusting our systems to work better as opposed to kind of determining how to deal with this client on an ad hoc basis and saying, okay, well, that one worked well. Let's try to do more of that maybe. No, we want to track this stuff and be able to adjust them as we go.
Well, that's exactly, and there are a few other features that allow you to manage those calls as well. We have all the necessary call center features, so it gives you really the power of a call center at your hands.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of the features you can do is you can listen into calls while they're live without anybody knowing you're there.
Okay.
So you as a manager can listen in on your employees' calls. You can say, "Listen, I want to do this for training purposes." You can listen. Then if they say something wrong, you can coach them where your employee can hear you, but your customer can't.
Okay. Okay.
So that's one of the biggest features too, because if you're training a new paralegal, you're training a new intake staff, it allows the office manager or the attorney to coach them throughout the call.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I can see
It's
where that
really
would
more
be
familiar.
extremely helpful. In that training phase, but also in just kind of like touching base and making sure everybody is using the appropriate scripts or at least the appropriate tone.
Exactly. So let's dive in and let's actually take a look at what the soft phone dialer looks like here. So we're going to hop in. This is the dialer, this pop-up that you see right here on my screen.
Mm-hmm.
I can see here that I've got one outbound call scheduled. I don't have any inbound calls. There are no agents available. I click on the agents. One of the things I could do is I can see the status of all my employees as well.
Okay.
If somebody's offline, but I know that they can be brought back on, I can change their status if I'm an admin.
Okay.
This is also where I can see if anybody's on a call. So if somebody's on a call, this is where the buttons are going to pop up right next to the status, where you can listen in on the call and coach through the call. This is where you would find that.
Okay. Okay. There'd be something that said, listen in or barge in or whatever.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly it. And it allows you also, you can even toggle certain agents as inbound only. So if you find yourself getting a lot of inbound calls and you want to stop outbound call production,
Mm-hmm.
there's also little toggles next to each person's name where you can flip them to inbound only.
Okay. A lot of control in this. That's great.
A lot of control, because as an attorney, as a lawyer, or even as a legal call center, you have to have control over your calls.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge part of the business. So I'm gonna actually go ahead and call myself so you can see what an inbound call looks like in the system. So once I
Okay.
start ringing this, you're gonna see that one inbound call is about to pop up. So it's gonna show us that it's coming in, that the system is receiving a call. I'm gonna go unavailable and it's gonna route that call to me. So I can see a call coming in immediately. There's multiple contacts found. If I hit answer, what's going to happen? I'm going to go ahead and hang up so I can't hear myself talk.
We'll
It's
keep
going
it
to
from
go ahead and
echoing.
bring
Yeah.
exactly. It's going to bring up every client that has that number. So this is a desk site, so you can see that every single lead that I have that has my number attached to it, it's brought up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, if there's only one lead that's attached to the number calling in, it's going to bring up that person's file automatically. It's going to bring you to a screen that looks like this. So you
Okay.
can immediately get started and get going in their call.
Mm-hmm. So as it just saves me just that little bit of time, that little bit of headache as well.
Well, absolutely. And the nice thing too is before you even answer the call, you know the person that's calling. So it brings up their name up here.
Mm-hmm.
It'll bring up what case type that you're working on them with. If it's a tracking number, it'll tell what case type the ad is from, where the tracking number is located, and you're
Okay.
able to see why they're calling.
And so just to clarify, by tracking number, you mean, a different number that you would use on maybe a Google ad or even a print ad, that when somebody calls in, where that ad was.
Correct. And we have our own call tracking features available where you can buy numbers right from in the system.
Okay.
And you can have those numbers ring through the dialer, which is one of the big benefits. So now that we're here, you can see that I'm on the wrap up stage. I've completed my call. There's a couple of
Mm-hmm.
buttons you can see here as well. So we have the call button if I want to call them back. I can send them a text from inside the dialer if I want to send them a text. I can leave a note directly to the file.
Hmm.
This is my favorite feature. This is a schedule callback. So a lot of times when you reach somebody for outbound calls, they'll say, "Hey, I can't talk right now. Can you call me back at 5?"
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to remember to call that person back at 5 because your whole day has gone by. You called them at 9 a.m. and that's the last thing on your mind.
You called a bunch of other people in that time, and yeah, that just doesn't pop back up.
Exactly. And you know what? You just forget about it, and that's what falls through the cracks. That's a
Mhm.
prime opportunity to lose a lead.
Right, because this
Now,
is somebody who said, "Please call me back at blank time." That's a terrible lead to lose.
exactly, because it shows interest, it shows engagement, and if you forget it, now your net promoter score got lowered
Mm-hmm.
because now that guy's going, "Oh, they forgot about me. I must not be
Mm-hmm.
as important to them." So you can schedule callbacks. For example, if I want to call somebody back today at 5 o'clock, I can just go in here, schedule that, and it will load this call up at 5 o'clock for me above everything else.
Okay.
So it'll push this to me at 5 o'clock, so there's no chance I forget it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, another nice thing too is you see this little button here is if you're making a lot of outbound calls, you can actually pre-record voicemails. And
Okay.
the second you get to a voicemail, you can click this button, and it will automatically drop that pre-recorded voicemail into the voicemail box and hang up.
Okay, so instead of taking the time to say, "Hi, this is the Glazer firm. We're just calling you back regarding this ad that we placed," or something like that, you can, if it's a moderately generic, you can just drop it in there,
That's
and
exactly
you
right.
don't have to waste that 15 seconds.
That's exactly it. And it adds up over time. If you're leaving voicemails every call, every day, you're saving a lot of time at the end of the week.
Well, and as you can see from me just trying to come up with that fake voicemail right there, people are going to mess it up.
Yep.
People are, if you have people say it every single time, even if the script is sitting there, it's going to be different.
That's very true. I've been an SDR in my past, which is somebody that calls and sets appointments, and I've messed up a few voicemails even when the script's right in front of me because you do it over and over again, you're bound to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just human error. The other side of it too now is the call outcome. This is actually extremely important. You can track what happened on each call. These are all customizable for each firm, so you can set your own dispositions.
Okay.
So this way you can see what happened during each call outreach to this client.
Okay. And those are the same for everybody. It's a choice. That way that data is sanitized and you don't have just a text box where I can put the guy hung up, or I use HU as my notation for hung up, and then somebody else actually writes out hung up every time. So,
Exactly. This way it's all uniformed. You can
mhm.
run reports. You can see like what peak call times do you have where people answer versus people hang up on you.
Okay.
The data's all there. And the nice thing too is it's all fluid because remember, again, Law Ruler creates the simple, seamless process from start to finish. So we try to erase as much manual movement as possible. So what's going to happen if I go on available is it's going to load that outbound call to me. You can see here a call is ready to be made. Outbound
Mm-hmm.
callback is ready. Got to call
Mm-hmm.
Matt. Motor vehicle accident. I hit accept. It pulls up that client's file and it starts calling the number right away.
Okay. Yeah, because it's completely connected to the CRM that is right there, obviously, because it is a soft phone built into the CRM. So it's manipulating that data in the background too.
That's exactly it. And then you can see on the activity log when a call was made, you can see the call log on the history. Every
Hmm.
client has a history on it. So you can see here that a user tried to make the call and the call was canceled.
Okay.
But that pretty much sums up the soft phone dialer. I mean, it gives you a lot of benefits
Hmm.
and it really makes the entire calling process just as simple and seamless as possible. It takes the headache out of it, it takes the thought process out of it, it automates it as much as possible so each one of your clients have a uniformed world-class customer experience, and you can improve your conversion rates, you can improve your net promoter score, get higher Google reviews, and just have happier customers.
Fantastic. Yeah, I see that the in my mind the two things that it does is it automates some things for you, obviously, which is going to speed you up, but then it also has that data in the background of being able to track a bunch of stuff, which makes you get better. So
That's exactly it. And you know what, I've really enjoyed showing you this feature, and I hope it brings a lot of value to a lot of people.
I'm sure it will. Matthew, thank you again for being with me and showing me around. If people want to see more about this, I know they can get a demo on your website at lawruler.com. And I believe you or somebody like you will be able to show them through the system if they like.
That's exactly it. We're always happy to walk you through demos of our software. Takes about 30 to 45 minutes, and we can see if we can add value to your firm.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Again, Matthew, thank you. And we'll see you next time.
Sounds good, Zach. See you next time.